You walked in for three things: milk, bread, maybe coffee. But 15 minutes later, you're standing at the checkout with a cart full of items you didn't plan to buy, a candle you don't remember picking up, and a faint sense that something happened to you that you can't quite explain. You tell yourself you just got distracted, or that you simply needed more than you thought. But the real answer is far stranger than distraction. You didn't wander through that store by accident. You walked a path that someone else designed, tested, and refined for decades, specifically so you would forget why you came in the first place. Think about the last time you walked into a grocery store. Where was the milk? Chances are it wasn't near the entrance. It was tucked into the furthest corner of the building, often diagonally opposite the bread, which is also never where you'd expect it. This isn't bad planning. In fact, it's the opposite of bad planning. It's one of the most deliberately engineered layouts in modern commerce, refined across thousands of stores and millions of transactions until it became a science. But here's the part that should unsettle you. The store is not a neutral container for food. It's a behavioral experiment you walk into every single week, and you are both the subject and the unpaid participant. Every shelf height was measured, every end cap was tested, every cent near the entrance was chosen for a reason that has nothing to do with helping you shop faster. The entire building is optimized for one outcome, and that outcome is more time spent, more aisles crossed, and more items added to your cart than you ever intended to buy. So how does a building manipulate a decision you think you're making freely? It starts the moment you walk through the door. Retail researcher Paco Underhill spent decades literally filming shoppers with hidden cameras, tracking how their bodies moved through the stores before they were even aware they were being studied. What he found became foundational to modern retail design. The first several feet inside almost any grocery store are intentionally empty of major decisions. Researchers call this the decompression zone. Your brain is still transitioning from the parking lot, the traffic, even the temperature outside. It needs a moment to downshift into shopping mode. Stores know this, so they don't put anything important there. No major promotions, no critical decisions. Just space, designed to let your guard come down before the real architecture begins. Most grocery stores use what's internally called a racetrack layout. The essentials, the things you actually came in for, milk, eggs, bread, are placed at the outer edges and often at the opposite corners of the building. This forces you to walk the entire perimeter just to gather the basics. And the perimeter isn't empty. It's lined with the most visually stimulating, high-margin sections in the entire store. The bakery, the flowers, the deli counter with food already prepared and smelling like dinner is halfway done. None of this is incidental. It's the long way around, dressed up as convenience. Why does this work on you specifically? Why doesn't your brain just say, I only need milk, and walk in a straight line to get it? Because your brain isn't built for grocery stores. It's built for forests, plains, and riverbanks. For most of human history, finding food meant exploring terrain, scanning for resources, and following paths that revealed new opportunities along the way. That instinct didn't disappear when humans started building supermarkets. It got repurposed. The winding path through a store isn't experienced as manipulation. It's experienced as discovery, because your nervous system is running ancient software in a modern building. You feel like you're exploring. You're actually being routed. This is where smell enters the equation, and it enters early. Many stores place their bakery section directly near the entrance, not because that's logistically efficient, but because the smell of fresh bread triggers something fast and unconscious. It signals comfort or reward, and it does this before you've made a single deliberate decision about what to buy. By the time you reach the produce section, your mood has already shifted, usually without you noticing the shift had happened at all. Psychologist Herbert Krugman described a concept that explains exactly why this works so quietly. He called it low-involvement processing. The idea is that not every message you encounter gets evaluated consciously. Many of them slip past your critical thinking entirely and settle directly into memory and mood, especially when you're not actively paying attention. You're not analyzing the smell of bread. You're not debating whether the bakery display is effective marketing. You're just walking, and your brain is absorbing cues it never asks your permission to absorb. Now, add in shelf placement, and the manipulation gets even more precise. Eye-level shelving is informally called the strike zone in retail circles, and it's not free. Brands pay what are known as slotting fees, essentially rent, to secure that exact eye-level position. Cheaper or store-brand alternatives are frequently placed lower, requiring you to bend down and actively search for them. Children's cereal, predictably, sits right at child eye level, not adult eye level. The shelf isn't organized by what's best for you. It's organized by what's most profitable to place directly in your line of sight. Pay attention to the product placement the next time you're in the store. Now that you're looking for it, you might be surprised at what you see. Even pricing gets engineered against your intuition. Consumer researchers have spent decades studying how environmental cues shape consumption and purchasing decisions, often in ways people couldn't explain afterwards when asked why they bought what they bought. One of the clearest examples is unit pricing confusion. A slightly larger package priced just enough higher to feel like a better deal, even when the price per ounce is actually worse, exploits a simple mental shortcut. Bigger looks like a better value. Most people don't run the math standing in the aisle. They just trust the feeling instead, and the feeling has been engineered to mislead them, gently, legally, and repeatedly. Here's the twist that makes all of this even more uncomfortable than it already sounds. None of this requires you to be careless or unintelligent. It works specifically because you're operating efficiently. Your brain is built to conserve energy, to rely on pattern recognition instead of recalculating every decision from scratch. Retail design doesn't fight that efficiency, it exploits it directly. The store isn't betting you'll think carefully, it's betting that you won't have to, because thinking carefully about every single shelf, every single price tag, every single placement would be exhausting, and exhaustion is exactly what the layout depends on. And this strategy didn't stay inside physical buildings, it migrated. Open any shopping app or social platform today and you'll notice something familiar. Infinite scroll removes the decompression zone entirely, keeping you in constant motion with no natural stopping point. Recommended for you sections function exactly like an end cap display, placing additional unplanned purchases directly into your immediate field of view. Limited time offers borrow the same urgency once reserved for in-store clearance racks. The grocery aisle didn't just sell you cereal, it taught an entire generation of digital platforms how to keep a person moving, scrolling, and adding to the cart longer than they ever intended to. So the next time you walk into a store for 3 items, pay attention to where your feet actually take you. Notice which aisle you cross first. Notice what you smell before you've made a single decision. Notice how far you have to walk just to find the milk. None of it is random. It was designed, tested, and refined long before you ever walk through that door, and it will keep working exactly the same way the next time you forget you're standing inside someone else's experiment. You didn't just grab a few things, you walked a path someone else built for you, one aisle at a time, and from now on, you'll never look at a shopping cart the same way again.